Hey guys, it's the Prez, Lawrence Presman, co-founder of Wager Talk Media, owner of wagertalk.com, sportsmemo.com, and the Gold Sheet, and of course, partners with Marco D'Angelo. An honor and a privilege to be partners with him, although he does annoy the shit out of me on a regular basis. Who's on today's show? Well, the aforementioned Marco D'Angelo and our resident legal expert, Jeffrey from Oskheim Sports. Let's bring him in. Jeffrey, you look good. What's up, dude?
How you doing, Prez?
I don't understand. Like, this is a casual show.
Casual Friday, right? Yeah. So I think since I'm the resident legal expert, we should have people call in with, legal questions. Maybe you have a list.
Well, I actually do have a question.
Maybe you have a few pending criminal matters.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Your parents must be very proud of you, Jeff. You went to law school, and now you're a professional handicapper.
They are very proud. Yes.
My mother's Jewish, and I'll tell you flat out how it would go in my mother's world. Her friends would be like, "Yo, Hillary, what does your son do?" And my mom would say, "Oh, he's a lawyer." That's how it would go.
Yep.
So, what the hell happened? Did you get disbarred? I mean, what kind of punishment makes you become a handicapper?
You live one life, right, Prez? You live once. You have to follow your passion. I love practicing law, but I loved handicapping and sports betting more, and I pursued my passion, and here I am, living a good life, happy, and with you. I mean, can't get any better than that, right, Marco? Prez?
Oh, what?
Man.
Yes, I concur. Before I say, Your Honor, I want to invoke my Fifth Amendment rights.
We don't have the Fifth Amendment in Canada.
Do you have something comparable to that, though?
No, not really. And it's probably this stupid one. Listen, there's a lot of dumbass things in your Constitution. That is one of them. I mean, why?
What?
Why?
Why?
Why? Because
everyone's presumed to be innocent. There's a presumption. You're cloaked in the presumption.
Yeah. So you can hide behind... Sir, did you hit your wife in the face? I plead the Fifth. Really?
Right.
So you can't just answer my question, yes or no?
That's correct.
Why? How does that have anything to do with presuming innocence? I mean, we're asking a guy on the stand a question of whether he hit his wife or not. Either yes or no.
Prez, if he's on the stand, then he's subjected to any questions. But most defendants will not take the stand in their own defense because it opens the door for the prosecutor to ask those questions and subject them to potential perjury.
Irrelevant to my question. Assuming you're on the stand, answer the frickin' question.
Well, you'd have to answer honestly.
Why can't you plead the Fifth?
I think you waive your right to invoke the Fifth Amendment if you decide to testify on your behalf.
Marco, he thinks.
In a criminal pen.
Marco, he thinks. And now we know.
I'm a little rusty.
And now we know why Jeff is not a lawyer anymore. I mean, he doesn't even know unequivocally whether you can or can't invoke the Fifth. Jeff, what kind of lawyer were you?
You can't invoke the Fifth if you make the affirmative decision to take the stand in your own defense as a defendant. And that's why most criminal attorneys will not allow their clients to take the stand.
I met a lawyer
they're not good.
I met a lawyer last night who specializes in death litigation. So he's the guy that says the will doesn't count, and man, that must be some ugly shit that this guy puts up with on a regular basis.
Horrible. Almost as bad as divorce law.
I mean, that would be the equivalent of being a legal proctologist. So, boys, I got a question for you.
Lose any more viewers. You think we should talk about football?
Yeah, I think. Okay, let's go.
No, we're not talking about football yet.
He supports waterboarding. Apparently, he supports waterboarding.
Guys, I'm the host. Stop interrupting me. So, Marco, I have a question for you.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment.
Here's my question, Marco. This entire week on the Betting Edge and Puck Time, we've been talking about butter tarts. They are the single greatest dessert on the planet. They are unbelievably hard to make with a ton of skill. There is a world championship of butter tarts up the road in June. They get like 500,000 people show up. I am starting to learn that Americans have no idea what a butter tart is. Marco, looking at you and your svelte, fit body, the muscles rippling out from your shirt, surely if there's anybody in America who knows what a butter tart is, it would have to be you.
Well, Prez, obviously you've been partaking in other things other than butter tarts because we had this conversation on our Monday show, and I didn't know what they were then. I do now because you explained it to me, and I also learned on the Monday show that you ate 2 of Carmine's 6 that you brought him, and Carmine was complaining because you only had 4 left, and you claimed that your dog ate them. All right, but I heard that when they put the dog on the stand, he invoked his Fifth Amendment rights as well. And, but you don't have that in Canada, so he couldn't. But, I got 0. So as I said on Monday, tell Carm to quit bitching. He's got 4 more butter tarts than I have. Does that sound remotely familiar to you now?
We did a show on Monday? Jeff, another
Butter
stupid
tarts.
legal...
That is-
What, Jeff?
Yes, go ahead.
Another
What's your
thing
question?
we don't have in Canada is Chapter 11.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're bankrupt, you're bankrupt. There's none of this Chapter 11 nonsense. And the other thing we have in Canada is you can't hide behind your corporation in bankruptcy, which would have pretty much ended Donald Trump's reign as an attempt at becoming president. Boys, are we ready to talk football?
Oh, God.
I think we're ready. Please.
Okay, well,
Please. I beg.
Syracuse playing Louisville. Regale us, lawyer Jeffrey.
All right, members of the jury, here we go. Syracuse plus 10 at Louisville. That was the price I got earlier in the week for my clients. You have Syracuse. They showed life finally after losing 4 games straight up and against the spread. They went to Duke and they upset them 49-6 as 8.5-point road underdogs last week. And that win signaled a buy sign for me personally on the Orange, who are still fighting for a bowl berth despite losing 4 straight. And head coach Dino Babers is known as a master motivator, and he's going to have his team ready and prepared for this game. He convinced them 2 weeks ago after their bye that they could win 3 straight to become bowl eligible. They got the first leg of that with a win at Duke. I think they're getting the second win this Saturday in Louisville. You look at Louisville, they're coming off a big win last week against North Carolina State that made them bowl eligible for the first time in years. But Louisville was actually outgained 377 to 326 in that game, despite winning 34-20. And they also took advantage of an injury-riddled Wolfpack secondary that were missing 5 of their best defensive backs. So that win was grossly misleading for Louisville. They're still celebrating becoming bowl eligible after that win. In addition to that, they have a pretty big look-ahead spot. They have in-state rival Kentucky on deck, and they want nothing more than to beat Big Brother in that game next week. I can see them easily overlooking the Orange in this spot. And if you look at Louisville in the marketplace, they are grossly overrated. They're 6-15 against the spread their last 21 at home, 9-16 against the spread their last 25 as home favorites, and 3-10 in their last 13 conference clashes. And they've allowed 16 sacks in their last four games, Louisville. And that's significant because Syracuse, after they fired their defensive coordinator entering into their bye a couple weeks ago, and they also got back their best defensive player in McKinley Williams. He's a defensive tackle, and he played an excellent game last week in the upset at Duke. I think McKinley Williams, remember that name, and this Saturday at Louisville, I think he's going to get to the quarterback, and that he's going to disrupt this Louisville offense. I like Syracuse plus the points. Do not be surprised if they win the game outright.
The line has gone all the way down to 8 in some areas, Marco. So there's obviously a lot of people agreeing with Jeff. Money is pouring in on the Orangemen, and a ton of money on the over. Did come out at 62. It's now 63.5, but about 79% of the tickets are written on the over. Jeff, great analysis. I love the fact that you think this Syracuse team can win outright. They're a big money line play. So guys, if you're going to bet, say 4% of your bankroll on Syracuse, maybe 3% on the spread, and as Marco or VR or one of these guys on that terrible show Bet On It that nobody watches would say, sprinkle a little bit on the money line. What's up, D'Angelo?
Not much. That would be our buddy Gianni, VR, with the sprinkle there. You know what? I can't disagree with anything that Jeff said in this game. I'm just going to put a little bit of reasonable doubt in this game for both sides just real quickly. He's absolutely correct as far as the situational spot on Louisville coming off being bowl eligible last week in Kentucky on deck. I agree with him 100% there. I also agree with the fact that this Louisville defense leaves a lot to be desired, and it's not the type of team you want to lay over a touchdown with. So those are concerns as far as the Louisville side goes. But I will say one thing about Louisville this year, and you talked about some of those stats. Well, a lot of those stats from the recent years with them was because of the last coaching regime, which was horrible. And last year was the bottoming out of the program. The team literally quit on Bobby Petrino last year, and it was a nightmare. They got just waxed on a weekly basis. So they had a lot of revenge spots, and this is one of them last year. They got rolled at Syracuse. And Satterfield has just done such a great job with this team. I'm not really concerned that they have the letdown. I don't think that the way he's coached them up this year, and you talk about offenses, Louisville's offense has been good all year. Syracuse has been spotty. Now, they did have that great game last week, but if there was any team in the ACC that was in as much of a free fall as NC State, Syracuse, that third team would be the Duke Blue Devils. The team is just falling apart down the stretch after starting the season out well. So I really don't know how much to gauge off of the Syracuse side. And I have big concerns on the Syracuse offense. Defense. They did make the change with the coordinator, as Jeff pointed out, but are we going to buy in 100% to the Duke game last week? Because they hadn't stopped anybody all year until last week. So I'm probably going to be on the fence in this one. I can't disagree with Syracuse, but if I was in the jury pool, we might have a hung jury because I can't confirm it without reasonable doubt. So there is my analysis on this one. The Syracuse.
All I'm thinking about is Marco being on the fence. Like, you're going to break it, right?
I know, that poor fence, blah, blah, blah. I've heard all your jokes.
Tony, on an 8-2, 14-5 all sports run, he is 70% this NFL season. Jeff, I know you're in a bubble doing your own thing, but Tony Finn is 32-14 this NFL season.
Wow.
That's nuts, right?
That is nuts.
The leading record at the Westgate competition is 69%, and Tony is better than that. I took $100 off of a month of his plays. Today is the last day for that promo code. It's Tony225. Head over to wagertalk.com. Use the promo code Tony225. Hawaii hosting San Diego State came out at -1 for Hawaii. About 79% of the tickets have been written on Hawaii so far, and the line has moved all the way to 3 at some books. We have a total of 48, which is very low. Jeff, I go to you first. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, Prez, I was really surprised by the line move in this game because my math model has San Diego State as a slight favorite on the road at Hawaii. I'm actually bullish on both of these programs, both Hawaii and San Diego State. They have two excellent head coaches, and Rocky Long and Rick, was it Rolovich? So it was a difficult game for me at the outset when the opening number was 1, but when it hit 3, San Diego State was a bye for me. The Aztecs have just completely dominated the series. They're 21-10-2 in the series since they joined the Mountain West Conference. And if you look at Hawaii, the last 18 times these teams have met, Hawaii is 3-15 against San Diego State. They're 1-6 straight up and against the spread the last 7 times they've met. And San Diego State has plenty to play for on the island here. If they go and they win, they're going to lock up the Mountain West Division, which is a title, which is big for San Diego State. And they're also very much underrated by the betting market every year because they have a very vanilla offense. They run the ball, they slug it down the field, chunk by chunk by chunk. Not very exciting, but the Aztecs are 16-7 in conference road games over the last 6 years. And Rocky Long, who I alluded to earlier, the head coach, he is 18-7-1 as a road underdog with revenge, and they're playing with revenge. Hawaii beat them last year, including 9-1-1 against the spread versus opponents entering off a win by 14 or more points. And in contrast, Hawaii is grossly overrated by the betting market. Some of these numbers were staggering to me. I mean, the Rainbow Warriors are 2-15-1 in their last 18 games as a favorite. 2-15-1. You cannot lay points with this Hawaii team at home. Hawaii is also 4-18-1 in conference home games over the last 6 years. And head coach Nick Rolovich is a money-burning 5-17-1 at home, including 0-9-1 against the spread as a favorite. My math model, like I said, slightly gives San Diego State the edge in this game. And finally, if you look at the defense, the Aztecs defense possesses a 0.7 yards per rush attempt advantage from the line of scrimmage and a 0.5 yards per pass attempt edge. They have a very good secondary, which is very significant and important against this Hawaii team. I like San Diego State to win this game outright. I would take the Aztecs on the money line and also put some money on the 3 as well. And I think 3 is readily available in the marketplace right now. I don't understand the move. Take the Aztecs plus the points.
Jeff, you're really good at this, man.
What?
Like you just
until it loses.
You sound so knowledgeable. I mean, like I'm listening to you. I'm so impressed. And before we get to Marco, I just want to make a comment. You know, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks because last week you were quote unquote sick. Atlanta Falcons played New Orleans Saints, and you know, I obviously have access to the back end of Wager Talk because, well, I'm one of the owners. And I read your analysis. You were the only person that took Atlanta. And, you know, your opening line really stayed with me. I think it was something like the hardest bets to make are the best bets to make sometimes are the hardest bets to lay. Something like that, right?
Yeah. Some of the best bets you can. Some of the best bets are the hardest ones you can make.
Yeah, it was beautiful
because you're going against the herd.
Yeah, it was beautiful and great call, dude.
Thanks,
the
man.
analysis was exceptional too, guys. Like you know, if you buy, you know, and I don't want to mention Tony Finnegan, but if you buy Tony or Jeff, you're gonna get a ton of analysis. Like, I mean, Jeff, you are not short on analysis. You know, I mean, we're talking 5, 6, 7 paragraphs.
Yeah. I love it. I love doing it because I think it's important that the clients understand why I am recommending the investment I'm recommending, as opposed to just releasing a game. I mean, you could take a magic 8-ball, right? You could just do this, and I could be doing this, picking the games. But if they have analysis, they know exactly where I'm going, and I can justify why I'm recommending that bet.
Yeah, Marco, do you find it a little bit troubling that a handicapper that is in our employ actually does have a magic 8-ball?
Hey, Marco's face was like, I don't think Marco knew what that was.
It's like sitting on his desk.
I had so many jokes I could go with there, and I'm going to leave it go. You know what, Prez, you know, that first month of the NFL for you, I wish you would have had a magic 8-ball.
Yeah.
You know, or me in baseball this past June. Okay. You know, I don't live in a glass house, you know, I almost own the record for both ends in baseball. 25-game winning streak, and almost it was a bad run in baseball.
Let's not talk about it. Rainbow
it's
Warriors.
Yeah, this is one of those games where on paper, I agree 100% with Jeff. You've got the better defense getting points, and you got the pedigree with San Diego State. This is for all the marbles in the West. This is the biggest stage Hawaii's been on in a long time, and they're doing it at home. And like Jeff, when I saw the number, I had to stop and pause when I was writing the opening lines in my schedule book. I thought maybe I dropped down and read the next game or the previous game because I was shocked that I was actually writing down Hawaii favorite in this game. And it's one of those where, it's style points. You're looking at San Diego State because of that great defense and the lack of offense. I can give you two stats here in this game. You look at them from the defensive side, and this is a team that has allowed every opponent but two to 17 points or less. And the two opponents that did score more than 17 points on San Diego State, Utah State 23 and Wyoming 22, two of the better teams in the conference. This defense shuts everybody down. The problem is they've only topped 30 once all year, and that was at New Mexico State, who doesn't play any defense at all. This is a team that doesn't score points. Now, to the flip side, in Hawaii, we know what their gig is. They're going to throw the football all over the field. They're going to score a lot of points, and generally they give up a lot of points. So do you want to take the defensive dog? Well, that has been a recipe for me that over the years has been very good. You give me the better defense getting points, I'm going to be there. With that said, and you made one error at the beginning of the show, Prez, that I want to correct, or the beginning of this game. You said that the bets were on San Diego, or excuse me, on Hawaii. They're not. The bets are on San Diego State, but the money is on Hawaii. I don't understand why the line is climbing when all of the tickets written are coming in on San Diego State, which generally says the bigger money is on Hawaii. And that really surprises me in this game because I thought, like Jeff, most of the world that does this for a living is going to take the defensive dog in this game. But there is some serious money showing up on the Hawaii side. And I don't think that we're getting the public hammering a game that's at 11 o'clock at night on Saturday, and it's not a prime conference game. So let's just be a little bit careful with this one for me. But my handicap says San Diego State plus the points.
He's Marco D'Angelo. I love the guy, and he loves food. Marco, people comment all the time about how mean I am to my guests.
I wonder why. I wonder why.
What do you think, Jeff? Am I mean to my guests?
I have no comment.
Okay, guys. I just want to quickly mention Buster. Buster is 19-5 in Canadian football, 5% plays. 19-5. That's an outstanding record. He has a 5% play for Sunday's Grey Cup. Marco, tweet this out, please, as you have the world's largest Twitter following. CFL20, half price for Buster's 5% play on the Grey Cup. It goes Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Regularly priced $40. It's now $20. Boys, we spoke about doing two NFL games today in great detail. Green Bay versus San Fran, Baltimore versus the Rams. I'm going to throw a spanner. Do you know that word, Marco? Spanner?
That's got to be something from your wonderful
Must
country.
be Canadian, yeah. That's
bloody wrench, man. What the hell is wrong with you people? I'm going to throw a wrench in this, and we're going to have a vote. Rather than looking at those two games in total, how about we run down the board at 100 miles an hour, and all you do is just say the favorite or the over or under. Marco?
Go ahead, roll it down.
Jeff, are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think everyone would appreciate that more. So Let's start at the top. Miami and Cleveland, minus 10.5 for Cleveland, 46. Jeffrey.
Miami.
Marco.
Over.
Denver going into Buffalo. Line move crazy. Buffalo was -5. It's down to 3.5 now. There's a shit ton of money coming in on Denver. Jeff.
Buffalo.
Marco.
Buffalo.
Some team from Pittsburgh. I think they're called the Steelers. They're going on the road playing Cincinnati. There's a 7 in some shops. The marketplace has it at 6.5. 38.5 is the total, which has come down from 40. Jeff?
Under.
Marco?
Cincinnati.
New York Giants +6 against frickin' Toronto Argonauts, for all I care about the stupid Chicago team that can't even move the ball. Jeff?
I'll take the Bears.
Marco?
Because you got a gun to my head, the Giants.
Oakland at -3. This line has been bet up, down, up, down, up, down all week. There were 2.5s on the board. I actually placed money on the Jets at +3.5 on Sunday night. Total of 46. Jeff?
Jets +3, all in.
Marco?
Jets.
Carolina +10, although there are 9.5s on the board if you like the New Orleans side. The total is 47 if you like the over. The market has a few 46.5s. Jeff?
Panthers.
Marco?
I agree.
Tampa Bay +4 against Atlanta. Jeff, offhand, I think you've been on Atlanta 2 weeks in a row now. Are you going to remain there?
I am. I'm going to take the Falcons. Lay the points.
Marco?
I'm going to take Tampa Bay, close my eyes, and
Good
pray
luck.
that Winston throws it to the right people.
I'm just going to stop now quickly because, Jeff, you've got a good handle on this Atlanta team. You think it's going over or under? 51.5.
I think that's over the total. You can count on multiple turnovers by this Tampa Bay team.
Yeah, it's just a matter of where they are on the field, really.
Right.
And I mean, here's what else you can count on, Jeff. If I'm on the under, the turnovers will come when Tampa Bay is at their 10. If I'm on the over, it'll come in the Atlanta end zone. Detroit -3.5 against Washington. We have a total bet down from 42 to 41, but there are 40.5s on the board. Jeff?
Under.
Marco?
Agree, under. I don't know where they're going to get points.
Jacksonville against Tennessee. We've had a line move in the last 12 hours. It was Tennessee -3 at 104. Now we've got Tennessee at -3.5 across the board. We have a total that has gone up slightly, 41.5. Jeff?
I'll take Jacksonville.
Marco?
Man, we agree, man. Jacksonville.
Dallas against New England. New England is -6.5. This line has moved. I bet Dallas on Sunday night at +7. I will be coming back, and I was hoping to see a New England drop to 5.5. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. I'm just going to buy out of that bet. 45.5 is the total. Jeff?
Patriots big.
Marco?
Patriots.
Green Bay Packers. I know you guys had done some analysis on this game, so feel free to talk for a little bit longer. +3. There are 3.5s on the board in some spots, with a total that went from 44 to 47.5. And just so everybody knows, because I'm letting you know what I've been betting, I bet over on Sunday night, and I got that in at 45.5. Jeff, you can talk a little bit.
I lean with Green Bay plus the points in this game, although it's not a strong play for me. The reason is San Francisco has a lot of cluster injuries on the offensive side of the ball. They're missing a starting running back. They're starting tight end, George Kittle. They're both doubtful. You have another running back and 2 wide receivers who are questionable for this game. And Jimmy Garoppolo has been a complete nightmare. If you look at last week's game against Arizona, he finished with a quarterback rating of 55.3. That was worse than Jeff Driscoll and Sam Darnold last week. His interception rate is 3.2%. That's ranks 27th in the league, and it's the highest of any qualified quarterback on a winning team. And people seem to forget that Jimmy G has only had 19 career starts in the NFL. I think he is overrated. Teams are starting to stack the box. You see what Arizona did last week against the 49ers. They ran 8 men or more into the box, 8 of San Francisco's 19 running plays last Sunday. I think Green Bay is going to do that as well this Sunday. And I just think I think the Green Bay Packers plus the points coming off a bye as well. It's a favorable situation for the Packers. I would lean with the Packers primarily because of the cluster injuries facing the 49ers offense.
Marco?
Well, Jeff and I agree on everything except the featured games that we broke down this week, because I couldn't disagree any more adamantly. One of the things on the 49ers, Kittle did practice yesterday. So he's going to be upgraded, and I think that's where you're seeing the move as far as the totals going. And as far as Green Bay goes, yeah, you're getting Aaron Rodgers as a dog. The public's going to want that. Who doesn't want Aaron Rodgers as a dog? He's not a dog that often. The San Francisco team right now, the stock is at their lowest point given the last 3 weeks. Well, what were those last 3 weeks? Well, they played 3 weeks ago on a short week on a Thursday against Arizona. And we say that, teams that go on the road on a Thursday night, they're at a disadvantage, except when it's a division game because you play that team twice a year. Well, when they went on the road and played Arizona 3 weeks ago, that was the first time they played them this year. And although they play Arizona twice a year, it was a totally different coaching regime there, different offense, different quarterback. There was nothing the same about this team. So they didn't have those luxuries. Plus, they were in a major sandwich situation. They were coming off playing that short week off a big win the week before. And who did they have on deck? But the biggest game of the year. They were facing Seattle on a Monday night game. So they took Arizona for granted in that first meeting, and they almost lost it. Then they played that epic Monday night game. Everybody saw it. They go to overtime. A ton of defensive scores in that game. And then they lost, no goal in overtime, and then Seattle got the win. After that, that was not a game that they should hang their head on, especially with the injuries they had. And those injuries carried over to last week, playing once again on a short week off of a Monday, coming back on Sunday with multiple injuries. At least this week, they've got a full week in between games to prepare and heal some of the walking wounded. And as I said, 2 of those offensive players did participate in practice yesterday. And Green Bay, they didn't fix anything in the week off with that defense. They can't stop the run. And when the 49ers are healthy, or at least somewhat healthy, they're going to be able to run the football down Green Bay's throat. And whenever they're able to control time of possession and their defense isn't on the game for too many series like they were in the Seattle game, they will hold up. This is one of the better defenses that we saw moving forward from the first half of the season. Granted, they had a softer schedule in the first half of the season, but I still like this team. We saw what they did in primetime games earlier this year. They had the statement game against the Browns on Monday Night Football, come right back in a flat spot and absolutely drilled the LA Rams in their signature game. And I think you're going to see that type of performance here against Green Bay. Green Bay's got one thing going for them, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Everywhere else on the field, San Francisco has the edge. I'll take the 49ers here, and that's why we got the 49er hoodie on today.
The only thing I remember is a statement game against Cleveland. That one stopped me in my tracks a little bit.
Well, at the time it was, guys, way back then, because all of the hype was on the Cleveland Browns coming in this year.
We got to end the show. Seattle +1 over and under 48 against Philadelphia. Jeff?
Seattle.
Marco?
Philadelphia.
The Rams against Baltimore. This is going to be an incredible game. That's I don't know what to do here. Jeff?
Rams plus the points.
Marco?
Rams all day long plus the points.
Okay, boys, outstanding show. I love you both. You're very special. Special. Who's the guy that says that?
Somebody special?
Jeff, do you know? He goes, special.
I have no idea.
Dana Carvey is the church lady. And you actually look a little bit like the church lady, Jeff. Not so much Dana Carvey, but more the church lady. Do you love
I don't
her?
know, Marco.
Jeff, would this, since Prez is, one of your bosses here, would this be workplace harassment?
It absolutely is. This is an intimidating work environment.
What's that picture behind you? Shut up. Move your head.
Very uncomfortable.
Move your head, Jeff. What's the picture behind you? Oh, so serene and tranquil.
So why can't we see you today?
Yeah,
Prez?
because
I'm embarrassed.
I'm doing the show naked.
Are you that embarrassed?
I'm doing the show naked. Guys, I'm the Prez. Jeff from Oskeim Sports with us. Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com. That's the show. Thank you for another wonderful week. We'll see you all Monday. Marco, me and you, baby, Monday. Talk to you then.
All right.